a leader under fire, a nation at a crossroads, and a conspiracy that could change everything. Captain Ibrahim Traoré, the young and determined leader of Burkina Faso, is now facing deadly assassination threats that could shake the foundations of his rule. But who is behind these threats? Is it internal enemies seeking power, foreign forces unsettled by his defiance, or a mix of both? Since rising to power, Traoré has made bold moves, challenged global powers, and pushed for Burkina Faso's sovereignty in ways few have dared. But with great power comes great danger, and now the stakes have never been higher. In this gripping investigation, we'll uncover the shocking truth behind the assassination threats, the powerful forces working against him, and the decisive moves Traoré might take next to secure his survival and his nation's future. This is a story of power, danger, and the fight for control, one that could change the course of Burkina Faso's history forever. Opening scene. Captain Ibrahim Traoré, the leader of Burkina Faso's military junta, has faced a series of unprecedented challenges since taking power in a coup in 2022. His rise to prominence came amid growing frustrations with the previous administration's failure to combat escalating insurgencies and the worsening security situation in the Sahel region. Traoré, a young and dynamic military leader, promised to address these issues and stabilize the country, which had been severely affected by extremist violence from groups like Al-Qaeda and ISIS. However, his tenure has not been without controversy. While he garnered support from those disillusioned with the former leadership, his hardline approach and pivot away from Western influence in favor of closer ties with Russia have made him a polarizing figure. Now, as his government continues to struggle with internal divisions and external pressure, Traoré has reportedly become the target of deadly assassination plots. These threats, originating from both domestic factions within the military and potentially hostile foreign interests, have raised alarm across the nation and the international community. The growing risk to his life has raised concerns about the future of Burkina Faso, as the country faces the prospect of even greater instability in the wake of these dangerous developments. The rise of Captain Ibrahim Traoré. To fully understand the gravity of the assassination threats against Traoré, we must first examine his rapid ascent to power. Captain Ibrahim Traoré emerged as a prominent military figure after leading a coup that ousted former President Roch-Marc Christian Kaboré in January 2022. Burkina Faso, much like its neighbors in the Sahel region, had been grappling with escalating violence from jihadist insurgents. Background of the coup. Traoré's coup was fueled by widespread dissatisfaction with Kaboré's inability to address the growing insurgency. The country's military was severely strained, and many soldiers were frustrated by the lack of effective leadership. Traoré, representing a younger generation of officers, led the military to seize control, with promises of more decisive action against terrorist groups. Traoré's leadership. Since taking over, Captain Traoré has made significant moves to stabilize Burkina Faso. He declared a state of emergency in several regions and launched military operations to reclaim territories from jihadist control. Despite the challenges, he garnered support among those disillusioned with the old political order. However, his rule has not been without opposition, both from internal factions and from foreign powers. The deadly assassination threats. Nature of the threats. In recent months, there have been credible reports that Captain Traoré's life is under imminent threat from both domestic and international sources. The nature of these threats is deeply concerning as they involve well-coordinated plans to target him directly. Sources within Burkina Faso's intelligence community have revealed that various factions within the military, along with extremist groups, have put a price on his head. Domestic factors behind the threats. Internally, there are several reasons behind assassination plots against Captain Traoré. One major factor is dissatisfaction among certain military factions, especially from the older guard, who feel alienated by his rise to power and aggressive reforms. These factions, loyal to the previous regime, have voiced frustration with the new government's inability to protect soldiers from jihadist threats. Additionally, there is growing discontent over how the government is handling the country's security situation. While Traoré's military campaigns have had some successes, the jihadist violence remains a constant threat. The prolonged instability, paired with high civilian casualties, has caused increasing frustration. Many in the military feel that Traoré's leadership has not been effective enough in curbing the violence. This sense of inadequacy has deepened internal unrest, further heightening the risk of plots against the government. The failure to protect both soldiers and civilians has created a volatile atmosphere in Burkina Faso. External forces involved. On the international front, the threats against Traoré may also have external dimensions. Burkina Faso, under Traoré's leadership, has distanced itself from Western powers, particularly France, which had long been involved in counter-terrorism efforts in the region. This shift in foreign policy, marked by a pivot towards Russia and the Wagner Group, has enraged Western governments, particularly France, which had invested heavily in Burkina Faso's stability. Some analysts believe that these foreign interests could be seeking to destabilize Traoré's leadership in order to regain control over the country's political landscape. Furthermore, Burkina Faso's growing alliance with Russia has exacerbated tensions with the West, which could be fueling the assassination threats. Russia's involvement in African nations has often been controversial, and the prospect of a French-backed plot to remove Traoré cannot be ruled out. The role of extremist groups. Jihadist movements targeting Traoré. The rise in jihadist activity in the Sahel has significantly threatened regional stability, and Burkina Faso is no exception. Extremist groups like Al-Qaeda and the Islamic State in the Greater Sahara, ISGS, have expanded their presence, targeting both military and civilian populations. These groups view Captain Traoré's government as a legitimate target due to his pivotal role in combating terrorism. The shared borders between Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger create a volatile environment where jihadist groups can move freely, launching frequent attacks on military installations and convoys. Given Traoré's hardline stance against these groups, it is likely that they consider him a prime target for assassination. The strategic location of Burkina Faso, combined with the government's anti-terrorism efforts, has made it a focal point for jihadist operations, exacerbating the ongoing instability and insecurity in the region. The threat to Traoré's life reflects the broader challenges facing the Sahel as it grapples with rising extremism. The threat from radicalized militants. Radicalized militants within Burkina Faso pose a significant threat, especially with some factions of the military sympathetic to jihadist ideologies. These groups view President Traoré's efforts to align with Western powers or Russia as counter to the interests of the country's Muslim population, believing such alliances undermine their influence. The lack of central authority in certain regions has further emboldened these militants, giving them the freedom to recruit and organize without interference. This has created an environment where insurgent groups can thrive and challenge state authority. The insurgency's ongoing success in destabilizing the region provides a fertile ground for these radical factions to grow. They aim to remove leaders like Traoré, whom they see as a threat to their control. With weakened governance, these militant groups are poised to escalate their operations, further undermining the country's stability and potentially altering the balance of power. The political and economic ramifications of assassination threats. The risk of political instability. Should the assassination attempts on Captain Traoré succeed, Burkina Faso could face severe political instability. His death would leave a leadership vacuum, and given the fragmented nature of the military, it is unclear who would assume control. The country's political system, already fragile from years of coups and civil unrest, could collapse into further chaos, paving the way for even more extremist elements to take power. Additionally, if the assassination threats are carried out, it would send a signal to neighboring countries that Burkina Faso is vulnerable, potentially emboldening other insurgent groups and regional powers to intervene. This could lead to a larger-scale regional conflict involving neighboring Mali, Niger, and Chad, further deepening the crisis. Economic impact. Burkina Faso's economy has been severely affected by the ongoing violence and political instability. The assassination of a sitting leader would send shockwaves through the international community, potentially leading to sanctions or economic isolation. For a country already struggling with food insecurity and a lack of foreign investment, the destabilization caused by such an event could exacerbate the suffering of ordinary citizens, further undermining the legitimacy of the government. Moreover, international organizations such as the African Union and the United Nations have been monitoring the situation closely. The removal of Captain Traoré from power could prompt international intervention, either in the form of sanctions or peacekeeping forces, which would further strain the economy. Potential for a shocking turn of events. The potential for successful assassination attempts in Burkina Faso carries significant consequences for both the region and the international community. With high stakes involved, such events could destabilize the country further, igniting more violence and drawing in external powers with vested interests. Internal divisions, compounded by militant factions and shifting allegiances, heighten the unpredictability of the situation. If key leaders are targeted, it could create a power vacuum, intensifying conflict and potentially altering the balance of power. The evolving crisis could lead to broader regional instability, prompting international actors to take a more active role in shaping the outcome. Foreign intervention and the international community's response. The growing threat of instability in Burkina Faso, particularly in light of recent assassination attempts, has the potential to escalate tensions within the region. Should such an assassination succeed, it is conceivable that Burkina Faso's foreign partners, especially Russia and its allies, may intervene directly, intensifying the geopolitical friction between the West and Russia. This intervention could complicate efforts to mediate or stabilize the region, further dividing international efforts. Conversely, if the assassination attempts fail, it could bolster Traoré's government, leading to a more aggressive stance against both insurgent groups and foreign powers. Such a shift might solidify Traoré's position within the country, but it could also spark internal unrest, with rival factions seeking to challenge his authority. The political landscape would then be marked by increasing polarization, either strengthening or weakening Traoré's control, depending on how these developments unfold. The outcome remains uncertain, and the region's stability is at stake. Final thoughts. Captain Ibrahim Traoré's rise to power has not been without its challenges, but the assassination threats he faces now mark a new and dangerous chapter in Burkina Faso's ongoing political crisis. The involvement of both domestic factions and foreign interests creates a volatile environment that could lead to severe consequences for the country and the broader Sahel region. As Burkina Faso teeters on the edge of further instability, the world watches closely, waiting to see what shocking turn of events might unfold next. The stakes are high, and the potential for further violence and destabilization remains a significant concern. Whether Traoré can survive the assassination attempts, or if Burkina Faso will descend further into chaos, depends on the actions of both the country's military leadership and the international community in the coming months. As the threats against Captain Ibrahim Traoré grow, the battle for Burkina Faso's future becomes even more intense. Will he outmaneuver his enemies and solidify his leadership, or will powerful forces succeed in taking him down? The coming months could determine the fate of an entire nation. What do you think about Traoré's leadership and the dangers he faces? Do these threats signal a larger geopolitical struggle at play? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear your perspective. And if you want to stay updated on this high-stakes story and other major global events, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. We'll be following this situation closely, bringing you the latest updates as they unfold. Until next time, stay informed, stay vigilant, and keep questioning the world around you.